Yeah, this is good footage of you climbing up, I believe. We might get yelled at, but it's fine, it's whatever.
You're gonna record me dying.
Please don't. Okay, well, you can't really grasp this. Okay, this looks like you're really high up from down here. Yeah.
Look, it's me again. It's the new Brawl follow-up video. I have my new microphone here that represents what I'm talking about. The classic one. A lot of people told me I missed a bunch. And I thought they were kind of blowing air, kind of puffing smoke, maybe smoking reefer, but they were definitely not wrong, because what the f is a Puss Puss build? What is that? What is that? Why can this move? I need to not get distracted. You gotta do this quick before someone yells at us. So I made my own timeline, because the one that we got was a little bit of a piece of dog shit. Here it is. And we're gonna go through it point by point, so no one can yell at me for doing misinformation. The David Kimball build. There's some drama with that. We'll get to that. Whatever the f David Kimball is. Title card. Aiden.com. Imagine if I just like jumped off. I'm like.
Let me be clear. The story of this video is hubris. To be quite honest, my original intent was rather casual. I wanted to talk about some mods I was playing with my friends, but then I made an epic thumbnail and participated in what some may politely describe as gross disinformation and/or betraying my trusting audience. Because in my efforts to make sense of the whole conundrum wrapped in a riddle, dunked in a puzzle-type gumbo stew that is the Brawl Modding extended lore, I may have skipped over some stuff. I paraphrased a lot. I like quite a lot of stuff. Here's my problem. Every time I talk about Brawl Modding to someone who is inquiring about what I'm working on, I'm sure to them it mostly just looks and sounds like this.
I fucking mirror weave his Doomgate. All my shit is 1010.
And that isn't very informative. Unfortunately, this is just one of those topics that requires precursory knowledge to understand greater concepts, like Puss Puss build. In my Zoomer Smash Ultimate brain, I had the naive idea that the timeline looked like this. And to someone who doesn't really care about the minutia and only dabbles in the mud with the P+ piggies instead of extending their whole arm in like I did, this is kind of somewhat half decent.
It was alright. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
This is it, folks. If you don't care about Brawl Modding that much and just want to know the big ones, this is it right here. But for those who are deep in the clutches of the Pepe Sylvia lore, this is, with the help of many, many very kind Discord users and some past aggressive ones on the Brawl Modding Discord, my best rendition of the actual timeline of Brawl Modding. It's a bit of a doozy. Maybe even a fucking iceberg. Frankly, far less linear than I would have hoped for as the self-appointed researcher, but luckily it can be somewhat neatly divided into a couple different categories. The Brawl Babies. The Project M Mother Tree. Project +1s. I just needed alliteration for that one. Modern Brawl Miracles. That one isn't even alliteration. Now, eagle-eared listeners may hear the word categories and have their tail flick up, because despite this chart largely being chronological, there are edge cases and modern takes that end up further up the tree, implying that they're maybe newer than they actually are. Balanced Brawl was 2008, Smash Universe was 2014. Still Brawl Babies. 2 Brawl Babies, okay? Okay. It's a mess up here, dude, but we'll get around to it. I promise. You just gotta stick with me. Now, even at the very beginning, I got it twisted. The first notable and frankly keystone Brawl mod they had seen was Balanced Brawl, starting development somewhere around 2009 to 2010, only a smacking 1 or 2 years after the actual game came out. Designed by the late and great Thinkaman and amazing Ampharost, Balanced Brawl could be called the godfather of Brawl mods. Balanced Brawl is about what you'd expect it to be, given the name and the time it came out. What if we balanced Brawl? While its core design philosophy differs from what later became Brawl Plus and Project M, it did do the thing that everyone wanted to do to begin with first. They got rid of the tripping. That could have been the mod in and of itself, and people would have gobbled it up and pat themselves on their belly in satisfaction.
Who wrote this? What are you saying on my microphone?
But no, the quality of life changes go far beyond the simple tripping patch that one may have expected. I think a lot of the changes present in Balanced Brawl reflected the frustration of fans beyond the sluggish approach to movement in Brawl's design. Ice Climbers, for the second game in a row, have a game-breaking infinite combo. Balanced Brawl fixed that. Meta Knight does the thing where he can just disappear forever into nothingness. Balanced Brawl fixed that. The video on Donkey Kong's page showcasing changes to his character is just a PSA that a very easy to accomplish D2D infinite combo no longer works on him. A lot of these are just fixing easy infinites. Oh, there's a whole page about fixing infinites. I'm learning about infinites not even yet conceived about by man. Slipping banana infinites. That can't be good. But Balanced Brawl is. It's an early example of the intersection between the audience smash fostered with Melee, looking at the product that they've been provided to them and wanting so bad for it to be better that they resort to just making it better themselves. Before we move on from that gramp of Brawl modding, I do think it's worth pointing out that Balanced Brawl continues to be its own thing, and the original devs had an idea to improve the most vanilla version of Brawl they could, and they did. It's pretty commendable. I don't want to reduce it to just a precursor to Brawl Plus, so this line on this chart, it's a bit deceiving, my friend. Either Thinkaman or Ampharost would move on to dev for Brawl Plus or PM, but the surrounding developers that are also credited on the lovely Balanced Brawl website did. They expanded off the ideas of Balanced Brawl, but asked the pertinent question: what if we went even further? And they weren't too far behind either, as the earliest archived webpage for brawlplus.net is from early 2009. Brawl Plus.
Well, let's check the Brawl Plus website. Of course it's down.
Well, I guess Balanced Brawl wins this one because the brawlplus.net page is no longer up, but through the power of something we probably won't have for much longer in the Internet Archive, I can go back to the glory days and see what being a Brawl Plus player was actually like. Well, as indicated by the name, the Brawl Plus squad was a bit more ambitious than the Balanced Brawl team in terms of their vision for what Brawl could be. Taking a peek at the 2009 change list, it's obvious Brawl Plus was going for more of an overhaul than a tweak fest. Momentum changes, hitbox changes, height, weight, speed changes, move speed changes, the f***ing tripping, more hit stun, dash dancing, they even added scar jumping back. Baby, it's a Brawl Plus, it's lit. A bit more ambitious than its predecessor, eh? But once again, we play the same game for different reasons. While Balanced Brawl was developed for those who wanted a cleaner experience, Brawl Plus was designed to be competitive, which is why there were tournaments that played it to begin with. Balanced Brawl never had that many tournaments, if any, if I can even recall. It was more of a mod you throw on with your friends to still have some casual fun without the brawl jank. I'm saying that in a derogatory fashion this time. This is commonly referred to as the first popular mod of Brawl, even superseding Balanced Brawl. So what's up? Like, where is it? Well, if you remember from the last video, the wiki states that Brawl Plus team became
Estranged and antagonistic towards each other.
which is a strange piece of info to leave hanging in the wiki. And from what I can tell, by virtue of me being nosy, it would seem that the concept of Brawl Plus was just controversial. The direction of the mod was an ongoing matter of heated debate. Many accused it of being just a Melee 2.0, and eventually the team just kind of crumpled in on itself. I didn't get much more info than that, and I want to know so bad the drama that potentially unfolded in 2009, but frankly, I'm probably just like dredging up an unpleasant time from a friend group's memory.
If you do this tonight, okay, it'll be just like your mom's wedding.
This stuff isn't really like a public spectacle.
Okay, I'm kind of making it a public spectacle by making a video about
To
it.
be honest, I don't have me being the designer of an overhaul to a Nintendo game everybody loves, just a stone's throw away from its release. I remember a similar controversy happening with NX The Shield's Project NX for Smash Ultimate, and in a similar fashion, while attempting to appease all sides, but pleasing none, Brawl Plus just kinda disappeared. I haven't even been able to reliably find a download link for a working version of it, but it does represent a reoccurring motif in the Brawl modding scene. No one wants the same thing. Fortunately, the timeline is still straightforward, but for now, Brawl Plus remains as more of a historical footnote in the larger history of its significantly more storied successor, as many of the Brawl Plus devs moved on to a new project. A Project M.
Wait, what about Brawl Minus?
What? Oh yeah, I kind of just brushed over that one, huh? Okay, let's talk about Brawl Minus. If the philosophy of Brawl Plus was to make it feel smoother, Brawl Minus's philosophy was to make it feel like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. It borrows a drop from Ultimate's Elixir with the simple idea that if everything is broken, then nothing is broken. But instead of taking it as an injection, Brawl Minus boofs it. The very first logo ever can sum up its ethos quite well. Overtune everything. Fuck yes, dude. Extend the hitbox. Yes, dude. Make PG's backyard do that. Yes, dude. Rio de Janeiro filter on the screen. Brawl Minus is the maladjusted, poorly socialized friend, you know, who's probably not gonna make it on account of all the acid he did in high school. But when you check on his Instagram story, he's always doing some awesome shit that makes you wonder if he has it all figured out. I hope you're okay, Wyatt. It's a trip. It doesn't give a fuck about balancing at all, but you somehow kind of don't notice it that much at first. I said it best myself while playing Brawl Minus with the squad.
Little did you know. What was that? What happens in this game is that you play it for like 10 minutes and you're like, this is normal. And then suddenly you both do something that looks like you're tazzing the game. Like, it's... What is that?
Brawl Minus is at its best when it surprises you with its adjustments and has the opposite progression that something like PM or Melee has, where it gets more fun the more you play and master it.
I'm sick.
Brawl Minus probably gets less fun the more you optimize it, because it wasn't designed with optimization in mind.
What in the world is that?
This
What the fuck is happening?
can only happen once, until it's something you do over and over again to your opponent, and it happens every time, and you see the light drain from their eyes. I cannot stress how different this feels from something like P+. It's just a different game. The ethos of the design choices speak for themselves. It even has unbalanced FD, do you get it?
What the fuck is going on the stage?
It's somehow still fun to play on despite giving me motion sickness. Who knew? This sucker has been around since late 2009 and has been updated on and off ever since. The last update was in 2024. These guys have been developing what was I fucking right about? These guys have been developing this since the day Ryan's World was born, and probably will continue long after Ryan World's hypothetical early untimely demise. You would have loved the character art.
I shouldn't laugh. It's not nice to laugh.
I had the chance to speak with the lead developer of Brawl Minus, who was amazingly informative and gave me a lot of insight on why they chose to mod Brawl to begin with, what the best memories of the development cycle were, and the history of the Brawl Minus icons that look like they were drawn in MS Paint, and they were apparently made in MS Paint, believe it or not. That actually makes a lot of sense, and it's actually insanely beast mode. Paul. It's probably the most fun I've had in a Brawl mod thus far. Like, why did they give Bowser a WWE command grab where he aura walks towards you and super armors everything? Like, that's insane, right?
What the fuck?
That's unreasonable design, right? It's just not fun? I don't think so. I think we were all designed to suffer. I think this is all a cruel game. Brawl Minus is a unique branch off of the Brawl Modding tree that is, with all honesty, probably my most endorsed one thus far. It's literally just what if Brawl was developed while Sakurai was speedballing off a benzo and deer blood-soaked Zins the entire time. It requires no technical skill to have a splendid time. What else does Brawl Minus have to say for itself? What else is on here? P+? What the fuck is Brawl Zeus? Brawl Zeus. An offshoot of an offshoot. Brawl Zeus is, well, okay, let's see how I can describe this. So there's Brawl to Balanced Brawl to Brawl Plus. A few devs see Brawl Plus and say, oh, that's cool, what if we made it unbalanced? And then Brawl Minus arrives as like a fun parody of Brawl Plus. But then a few Japanese devs saw Brawl Minus, saw a general directional change in the development after they switched to Legacy XP as the base to become more balanced, and decided to continue an unofficial branch of the mod for Japanese players with added features and characters unique to itself in a very noticeable way. And thus, it split off into its own little corner of the Brawl modding scene as Brawl Zeus. Built off of a later version of Brawl Minus, it maintained the Brawl Minus dogma of being completely hog wild, while simultaneously taking shape as its own degenerate, turbo-enhanced JJK fight-ass adaptation of Brawl. There's like no end lag on any of the moves, like at all. There are also special moves that charge up, kind of like Final Smashes, but in a,
let's say, unique way.
Also, side note, this is easily the best logo of any of the projects. Sick, it's tough. It's some of the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. It's bonkers. You have to see it to believe it. There's not a lot of footage of Zeus online, but what there is to see boggles the mind almost completely. Look at this clip from 9 years ago where this Marth just dog walks this Falcon across the stage. It's as if every O2 masher's instincts to hold forward were, instead of being duly punished, rewarded with gallons of gold booleans and Brawl BJs. It's effing nuts, dude. I thought P+ was hard to set up, but without custom dolphin builds painstakingly made by the community, the hurdle to play Brawl Zeus is an unforeseen challenge.
Hey, what's up, guys?
guys, welcome back to my tech tutorials. Well, everyone is home. Usually there's just like a dolphin build, but there's not, because this is a Japanese mod from 2009. I asked this guy, who I believe is Japanese, he gave me a tutorial, so here we go. I have the mod, so step one is complete. I have the mod. Well, maybe I don't. Okay, we'll download the mod. SD. Gosh, I don't fucking know. What is Apollo Brawl Minus? This is trying to prove the point that this is, like, hard to do, but it may just be, like, showing everyone that I'm a moron. Generate an SD raw. Dolphin can store data via SD raw. Built-in generation option. Generate an SD raw via Dolphin. That's the story. Alright, I'm gonna do it. Creating an SD raw. There's no images, so options. Configuration. It's different. It's different than what it says. Oh my god. I don't know. Generate it via... Okay, you know what? Unpack it. Did I do it? I'll download this. Shorty. What? Oh god. Oh, I don't know. It's red. It's red, dude. What does that mean? What the fuck is happening? I created a Slender EXE on the computer. Okay, it's just gone. It shouldn't be this hard. What fucking thing am I putting in? It's too much. Generate a fucking SD raw. Okay, where's the rest of it though, is my question. Is it in here? What is any of this? And then, it must be in here. No SD raw in here? Search my whole PC. Oh, check this out. I don't get it.
Super Smash Bros. Alternate Universe. Tangent. Within the deep web of offshoots of Project M and now P+, there are some who would rather build their own path, their own alternate path. If you know what I'm saying, whatever. Super Smash Bros. Alternate Universe is not built off of PM, and its hypothetical what-if Smash game falls more in line with something like Smash 4 rather than Melee. While it's still in its demo form, I think it's promising as a Georgia peach wrap in a summer breeze, I'll tell you, because this one feels good. The characters are a lot quicker and are animated with more bounce in them than Brawl. It feels more like a rubber hose cartoon than the Brawl I know and love. And characters are given different movesets that reach deeper in the reference pockets than Nintendo usually does, even going as far to change the victory animations to reference more media. I love media. I like where this mod is going. Mario's moveset is now finally not almost identical to what it has been for 75 years now. And since this came out on the Wii, Mario has galaxy moves. I like them a lot. I wish there was less end lag on up air, but you know, he has a ground pound, the dive jump. He has the damn hammer from Paper Mario or Superstar. I'm sure he has hammers in other places too. They let young Link have a crate bomb that just sits there for an hour until it does a giant explosion. And this part is bolded. They made Link jump out of a Deku sack. There are only a few playable characters in this mod at the moment, which is understandable given the enormous overhaul required for each character, but I'm very excited to see where this goes if it continues. I need to see Wario in this style. I need to see Solid Snake jiggle physics. Even in my previous video where I glazed the fuck out of PM, I think I still undersold its prevalence and the legacy of PM, as it holds an almost mythological status in the folklore of Smash. It is the holy text on which the works we have today are based, and the Tree of Life, lo, Yggdrasil, like in Japanese medias, there's a big tree and it's a metaphor. That's what PM is to the modding scene. Does that make sense? Got to the point where the source code for PM was a heavily guarded item of great value that was held by the gatekeepers and caretakers of the brass plates. What remained of the PMDT, the Project M development team, got to the point where people had to use espionage and reverse engineer the Project M code to make new builds. David V. Kimball goes more in depth into it here.
So every single Brawl mod has what's called a codes.gct file in it, and the PMDT treated theirs like it was like this holy proprietary relic, and like eventually it leaked or whatever, which was great, but I don't know why. Like the whole spirit of modding is that you share it with everyone, and that everyone benefits from it, and you can build upon what other people have made. So I didn't understand the like hoarding it all to yourself and the gatekeeping as much. Sakura, she's been in Brawl modding for also a super long time, and she got in trouble because she helped reverse engineer like the PMDT's code for the clone engine or something.
Oh,
and like the PMDT didn't like that.
this PM shit goes deep. But yeah, who is David Kimball? Why are we talking to him? Why is he important? Well, he's a bit of a controversial figure. I'd like to discuss, because when I was in the Brawl Modding Discord, they mentioned your name, and I'm like, who's David Kimball? And they responded with that one Malcolm in the Middle gif, and I don't, and then no one really elaborated on what what was up.
It's been at least 6 years since like I've been involved in Brawl Modding project, and what I'll say is I was a very opinionated person, and so I made a lot of enemies. I also, when I was doing most of my modding in one of the loneliest parts of my adult life. Graduated from university. I was living on my own for the first time, and I had a 9-to-5 job, so I was stretched pretty thin. I was trying to do a lot of things at once, and so there were some of like my less fine moments, you could say. Even though I was, how old would I have been? 22, 23. So I was, you know, an adult, but still an adult with feelings and an improper sense of how I was allocating my time. And what ended up happening was, so I was kind of the leader of the Legacy TE.
He gives us a lot of insight in some of the early Brawl stuff. He was involved in not only the CSP, he was also the Legacy TE guy. He actually ran the Smash Bros. Legacy Tumblr account at the beginning of like 2014 or something that just had like a bunch of fan stuff on it and then split into other stuff, but we'll get into that later. And also this mysterious Kim build. What could that be? Pre-PM modding is the equivalent to where most games are in the modding space. Tweaks or balance changes like Brawl Plus, maybe a few high effort overhauls, but PM blew the door open in terms of splits and branches and versions. I'm talking like a breeding frenzy of PM babies. Like, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant from PM and it's Vinci edition. I'm pregnant and it's the handyman build. Since PM repopulated like Mama Big B on a honey full moon, we're gonna have to do a lightning round, okay?
Okay, it's lightning round time.
PM Unbound. It's a blue, it's just a blue one. Oh, they added a cool logo and it's like an old PM build. Just added more characters and it's built off of Brawl EX. Apparently this is the first one that used the Brawl EX engine, so who knows if that's true. Oh yeah, what is Brawl EX? It's like the framework where a bunch of new characters are able to be added. Characters, I probably should have talked about that, to be honest. Project MCC, community completion. When the builds leaked from PM after there was the whole fiasco about them not like letting anyone use the source code, a version of it leaked, and then the community they finished it. They just finished developing it and released it. It has Knuckles in it. PMPE. This one seemed innocuous at first, but it's actually called PMPE because it's PM Pat Edition. You would never believe why. It's because the guy who made it is named Pat. That's like the most interesting thing about the mod. It's just a bunch of skins and stuff.
Never mind, Pat. Editor's note. Character select screen. It's sick. My God, Pat.
Oh, hold on. PM Pat is pregnant. And who's he pregnant with? An Impreg Vinci edition. Don't look at me like that. You won't believe the name of the guy who's made this edition. Mark Fishback. Oh, it's just built on top of Pat. They just add even more
character skins.
Only interesting thing about it is his name. I'm sorry, Vince.
The guy in the video that I got the footage from called it Project Vinci, though.
Called it Vinci or Vinci, whatever you call it. Edition.
So I thought that was important to share.
Project M Star. Okay, this one is funny. There's Brawl, and then they develop PM to be more competitive, and then PM Star is like, oh, but we want people to have fun too. So it's PM made casual. It's like casual PM. So they went all the way back around. But it's, I get, that's kind of a cool idea. I guess that's kind of cool. It's Project, well, no, it's built off of Project M, and then they just make all the hitboxes and input buffers way more lenient. Smash Bros. Universe. Okay, actually, funny story. I mentioned this one at the end of my last video, and I was like, this one has Grubhub stage on it. I'm like, I don't want to play that one.
Oh, I can play on the Grubhub burger. No, that's I'm okay.
Of course he saw it, bro.
Hi, I'm a Brawl stage modder, and I, with collaborators of course, made a bunch of Smash stages, 2 of them shown in this vid. Tower of Heaven, inspired by Rivals of Ether, and the Grubhub burger. I'm gonna get you, dude, Shane style. I am the angry pumpkin. No, I will defeat you in battle!
Let's just say I did come out on top. You can play in San Andreas in this one too. I don't know why. Project MXP. Okay, pause the lightning round. This is actually where things get kind of convoluted. After the disbandment of the PMDT and the end of Project M development, panic ensued. People were working on all kinds of builds. What would be the next Project M? Who gets the name? Nobody. Nobody gets to use the name, actually.
When the PMDT shut down, there was like mass panic. Projects were closing and consolidating, and then there was this idea of like, well, why don't all the modders get together instead of working on disparate projects? Why don't we create the continuation of PM and continue it? And then there was all this drama because former PMDT members were like, no, like no one can continue Project M project. And it was like, yeah, it's got to be called something else, and you can't. So it was kind of confusing.
PMXP was mostly a cosmetic mod that added hundreds of stages, but it finds itself in the PMDT pickle that is the sacred name breach. At the same time, somewhere else, an alternate version of PM called Project M Legacy 3.6 was being developed by my boy DVK with similar goals. I went back on the Wayback Machine for Smash Legacy. I was finding a bunch of old comments. I'm like, was this just like a fan page? And you said it used to be a Tumblr page. So was Smash Legacy TE, is that where the name comes from? Is that where you hosted it too?
Yeah, it is very confusing. So you have it correct. I'm looking at your graph. You've got, which is awesome, by the way, Smash Bros. Legacy M 3.6. So that, remember I told you I was like dabbling in like making mods at like the end of college, and then the PMDT noticed my mod. Well, that was the Smash Legacy M 3.6.
Okay.
Project MXP was like, well, we gotta change our name, and so I joined their team and it became Legacy XP.
Okay. So is that merged right there somewhat accurate?
That's absolutely accurate, yeah.
Legacy 3.6 split into two entirely different builds, Legacy Tournament Edition and Legacy XP. And then Legacy XP merged with PMXP. If you're an 800 IQ knower like me, you'll know it's simple stuff, really. And of course, there's Legacy XP and Knuckles. Yes, it's real. It's exactly what you think it is. It's Legacy XP with, I don't have to explain this to you, but an interesting twist. Low from Legacy XP and Knuckles formed CE, the Community Edition. CE initially aimed to bring Legacy TE stage list and fuse it with Legacy XP character list. I have to put the on there, just cut that. It eventually evolved into more though, adding a couple of extra EX characters, editing the movesets of both Dr. Mario and Young Link. Cool! All these mods had a similar trajectory and philosophy, but Legacy XP began to implement Brawl EX custom characters, which ignited a fire somewhere deep within the community. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Legacy Tournament Edition became the foundation for PM after the PMDT went away. It consolidated all the little underlying issues with PM and Brawl and effectively continued the legacy of its predecessor quite smoothly, if not unspectacularly.
Holy fuck, I take a big eye.
But it didn't need to be spectacular. It just needed to efficiently and neatly preserve Project M's legacy.
Hold on, wait, remember that thing I was talking about a second ago, or a while ago? Like 20 minutes ago almost. Okay, it's off of like a CTE.
There's a link to something called the Kim build.
Oh, yeah.
And they refer to it as lost media. And in the bottom right, I see the Kim build.
I was so stoked to release it. Basically, it was a completely tournament viable build, electro swing themed, and had like a sepia, like 1920s kind of feel, and custom costumes and custom voice mods. It was great.
Was it just like your take on something like the ALM tournament build? Like, is it like your custom tournament build?
Yeah. So the ALM build that you're talking about was a little. The TEX was a strange one because, like, I think I talked to you a bit about this maybe offline, but what was strange about it was it took Legacy TE and then it put Legacy XP characters in it. What made it strange is like the entire point of TE was it was tournament edition. Well, if you take a tournament edition build and then put non-tournament characters into it, it's not really a tournament build anymore. It's kind of a funny middle child. How it's different from that is Kim build was still completely like tournament viable, you could argue, because none of the changes I made were gameplay changing. In fact, I removed every non-tournament legal stage and put other variants of tournament legal stages into
I see. Okay.
The only argument you could make is if I changed a voice pack, like I gave Ganondorf like a polished Ocarina of Time Ganondorf voice to replace the Twilight Princess Ganondorf voice I didn't like. And I gave Link the melee voice or whatever. And if you use audio cues to play seriously and those get changed, I could see an argument for like, well, it's not really tournament viable if you change the sound effects. So I understand that.
And did you just decide not to release it, or has it been released and now it's like kind of lost media?
Well, I never finished it, but I had a really good amount of progress on it. And then when we, ended development, I quietly shelved it.
I see. Okay, so it will remain lost media for the time being.
Probably, yeah. And I was like, you know what? What are some things I could do on my Patreon? I'm like, whatever. I'll just give it to people as an option on my Patreon. And then people got really mad at me, so I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just take it down.
Okay, that's what Kim build is. But okay.
It also laid the groundwork for its successor, but we have one more branch on the PM tree to explore before it'll be relevant later. Come on, let's go. Actually, his name is Alm. It's not ALM. I'm sorry, my legend. It's Project MEX Alm's build. This is a bit of a Lilith in and of itself. Alm's custom tournament build was initially just a personal project. A bunch of new characters, tweaked and balanced, new stages, new everything. This was peak PM, baby. It was the future. He actually responded to me on Discord. Alm's build was the grandfather to some of the largest mods that we're not quite ready to talk about yet, but it itself birthed a few offspring of its own, notably Cobalt Legacy. Very unique style, and verbatim from the blog post about it being released, it steals a bunch of tournament edition. Custom balancing and a unique identity. Yup, this one's looking to be pretty epic. A lot of these builds in and of themselves have a lot more intricate stories than I first anticipated. I was aware of Cobalt Legacy when making the first Brawl video, but I initially dismissed it as another cosmetic mod and chose not to talk about it, and also because I'm just lazy. But there were several people that expressed disappointment in the fact Cobalt wasn't present, including the creator Cyan himself. So I hit him up on Discord to see what Cobalt was all about.
Yeah, so getting into modding, it was as simple as, you know, me and my crew, we were kind of fresh off the heels of having PM taken away from us. And, you know, that was like late 2015. 2016 rolls around. I'm thinking, you know, I wonder if anybody's posting any more content about the game. Game's not dead, obviously. This guy, ALM5252, pulls up and he's like, oh, Gino in Project M, Shadow in Project M. You know, I'm seeing all these and I'm like, yo, these can't be the leaks, because I know they didn't have all that time. We barely saw, like, Knuckles get out the door.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, so what's to this? And eventually, at some point, he goes, all right, I'm going to release a mod pack with everything in it. So I download it, and I'm like, yo, they got everybody in here. I'm playing Shadow. I'm just like, yo, why does he have the Lucas down there? What are we doing? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yo, boss, I got this idea for Shadow. Why don't we give him the down air from Sonic Battle, the Shadow Eagle? He was like, I like the multi-hit one better. And I was like, all right, bet. So we cut ties complete. No, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do my own thing, because there's a couple of people around here who was like, I kind of like what you're doing. You got anything else you want to do? I kind of want to see this character and that character. I'm like, try to do what he does. And for the most part, I taught Brawlbox, the program we used to edit this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
To myself. ALM helped me with a couple of things here and there, but for the most part it was, you know, so I made the Shadow down air edit. I took Shadow Eagle from like a different Shadow mod, and, you know, I kind of just merged like a lot of the best pieces of like different characters together. For me, it was seeing either imbalanced or functionally nonsensical, maybe. I don't know, maybe that's too harsh.
Yeah.
You know, things that just didn't really make sense to me. I saw those and I was like, I think I can make a better version of this. A lot of my friends at the time were trying these builds on campus with me, and there was like, yeah, this just isn't as good as PM. I don't know if we should do all this. And I was like, I think I can make this better. So that's where that came from.
You're like, let me step in.
Right. I worked with ALM on what is known and familiar as ALM 5252, Project MEX custom build. So I worked with him on that, and then after I separated from that to make Project Cobalt, you know, later on Project Cobalt would continue, and, you know, these guys over at like ALM's build, you know, they would start to take it seriously, and they became PMEX Remix.
Okay,
so
I see.
They kind of like trimmed the fat, they cut out like some of like the mid-nonsense PSAs that they had before, and, you know, they started making more stuff in-house as opposed to being just edits. Past a certain point, you know, it was like, I know a lot of these guys from like way back in the day, especially ALM himself, you know, Troy Anthony, Kuso, you know, a lot of these guys who were there from like the founding of these Project M and Brawl EX combined build. At some point, we would like sort of like, the streams would cross and we would like work on each other's stuff. But, you know, past a certain point, you know, it was clear that like PMEX Remix was focused on adding content.
Yeah,
And
instead of
Cobalt
refining it, maybe.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
So,
got
like,
you.
The two kingdoms had different goals.
Remix goes kind of like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe route, where it's like, oh, it's everything best of.
My ass just hit the screen.
Throw balancing to the wind. Fierce Deity Link makes me so mad in Remix. It makes me so mad. That character's not balanced. But like, I don't think it's. It doesn't really like for what it is.
I tried to help him with that character. I missed a couple of things. I did not know that down B would kill at 90 straight vertical. I'm sorry.
I think it's funny as fuck. Like, it's fun to play the game, but it almost seems like Cobalt is focused more on like additional characters with the continued ideal of like competitive play. Is that accurate? Would you say?
I would say that's accurate. Like the goal for Cobalt was to make something that you can feel proud of saying you main such and such character. Like if I put like Lucina in the game, if I put Shadow in the game, these are like, disclaimer, these are legacy XP characters. They're not like totally mine, even though I've changed them a lot over the years, but you know, they're not my creation. If I put this character in the game and you're playing against somebody at like a barbecue, a cookout, like a friendly session, whatever, your character needs to look like they belong in the game, and they need to like have like some kind of skill ceiling, depth, things that you can do that make them feel like you're really playing the game and not just a mob.
Do you do balance patches specific to Cobalt?
No, but we are thinking of doing something similar. We are thoroughly disgusted with the way Zelda in particular plays. Very annoying and mashy and rewards some of the worst habits Smash players can have.
True! Don't stand up for forward airing 3 times. That was cool.
Zion led me through a lot of the nuances of the Brawl modding scene, including what he liked to call brawlitics, the conflicts that seem unique to the Brawl modding community.
The bureaucracy, like the Brawl modding politics, brawlitics as we like to call it, it's very strange.
Is there like a high council of Brawl modding where it's like de facto leaders?
Oh, for sure. People like Nanobuds, people like King Jigglypuff, the bigwigs who used to work on Project M, kings of an era gone by, now lording over a castle with much less lively halls. A castle nonetheless. Custom Brawl modding as a server is like the general hub, and you will see these, admittedly, kings of the craft, you know, laying down the law for the land. And, you know, most of the time I'd agree with a lot of the ideals and, you know, rules that they put forth. King Jigglypuff, always been a good guy, and I think even he, like, as, you know, time progresses, he's softened up on some of the brawlitic things that made it harder for people like me to just do what we wanted and not be, shunned.
Do you think Brawl modding is kind of dying?
I don't think so. I think what's dying about Brawl modding specifically is how many different builds there are that people are playing. Like right now, Rex is like the one everybody knows.
Whoa there, partner, we ain't there yet. We're getting ahead of yourself. I'm the one editing it. Oh, fuck.
It's also notable because it's still going to this day, though it's migrated over to P plus EX at this point, now being Cobalt X. It's punk, it's like Elon Musk. And the Handyman build, let's see what's up with that. Drama! Handyman build drenched in drama. Drama drencher. Oh, what's this? A distraction from the main path. Let's investigate, shall we? Melee Remastered plus Smash 2. Melee Remastered is an interesting little critter because it follows a pretty straightforward line of thinking that got overlooked when designing PM. If you're gonna make the game feel like Melee, why not make it look like Melee 2? Melee Remastered did just that, though its homage stayed pretty close to home base with regards to the gameplay feel of Project M. Eventually, the idea was expanded upon with new stages, model refurbishes, and character moveset reworks, serving as a hypothetical direct sequel to Melee. And so from Melee Remastered came Smash 2. The name of the mod makes me kind of mad actually, because technically this would be Smash 3, but it's like Smash 2 because it's a sequel to Melee. But then 64 is like taking unnecessary strays.
There's already one called Smash 3. And C.
Smash 2 is an interesting thought experiment turned reality. It was popular enough to influence submods like Smash 2 Plus, which really just folded into Smash 2 updates later on. That's why I said swapped spit right there. It's a whole thing. And Smash Omega, those two being the supplementary mods to which enthusiasts could get their greedy little hands on. Though one mod was inspired even further beyond, an even more out there idea. What if Brawl was Melee was 64? Aha! What a twist. Not actually much to talk about here, besides the fact that Smash 1 is built off of Smash 2, which is unintuitive and therefore vaguely interesting, which is why I'm typing this on my computer and talking into this microphone even at this very moment. Smash 1 is quite a cool mod though, and it feels very nice to have the 64 models with the PM movements. Just so slick. I'm lying, I haven't actually played it. But let's rewind back to Legacy TE. This was the way to play PM for a while. Despite not being typically known about among newcomers in the scene, TE was a keystone in the PM community for a while. But inevitably, as we see time and time again in this family tree, it would eventually be overshadowed by what was built directly on top of it. HBox, if you're watching this, input the HBox fapping gif right here. That's for you, man. Project Plus is like if you went plus ultra like Deku in Smash Bros. This is This is the most universally recognized spiritual successor to Project M, to the point where this is what they play at tournaments instead of PM now. UI overhaul, it's green.
Project Plus is green now.
More character balances, new moves, it's lit, bro, it's P+, and Knuckles. In terms of popular competition, this is where the bloodline ends, unless you're in Ontario, baby. Quebec, vive la French build? This is the new frontier of brawl modding. What used to be PM pregnancies are now +1s. Want to make a brawl mod? Just put it on top of P+. Okay. Let's start with the basics. Project Plus tournament add-on. In the most confusing and impressive use of wordplay I've seen this side of subspace, Project Plus Tournament Edition, whose logo looks like this, is like the Legacy TE of P+. But wait, isn't P+ built off of Legacy TE? So this is technically Legacy TE P+ TE. Don't get much more tournament than that, folks. It just streamlines the competitive aspects of the game and fixes performance. No biggie, no biggie, no smallsy. And the most interesting thing about it is its title. No shade. Puss Puss build. The Puss Puss build. Why is it called that? Why is it called the Puss Puss build? People would probably ask about this.
I'm asking.
But you know who made it? You know his name? It's Puss Puss.
But why is that his name?
His build is called Puss Puss. It's like
Okay,
Project
but I
Pat.
get that, but why?
Happy Pride.
That doesn't answer me.
This mod adds some really awesome things, like a homunculus. I never even considered that in the Smash engine. I quite enjoy Puss Puss's early 2020 meme aesthetic. How could you say no to Goku and his imposter and Godzilla? His up B sucks ass because he goes the opposite direction and I never remember. It's a media expansion of P+ EX that serves it up weird style, and somehow I end up coming out the other side charmed. I applaud you, Puss Puss.
You're a freak. You're a freak. You know, it kind of smells like,
Puss Puss build. Negative Legacy Project Ultra Mix. Now imagine this, okay? If you could even imagine. Brawl Zeus, but Project M. Wouldn't that be neat? I present to you Negative Legacy, or I would if it ever got made. So speaking of that, I'm very scatterbrained. I apologize. It's probably a terrible interview. But negative Legacy. No one knew what that was. Is it?
Negative Legacy was a meme. The reason why I included it on my timeline matrix was there was somebody in the community who was very enthusiastic about Legacy XP. And when it came out, he was like, I want to make a version. I want to make my own mod. Like, that's the idea, is everyone wants to make their own mods because you want to be one of the cool kids. So his idea was, what if we combine Brawl Minus and Legacy XP? And so all the characters have Brawl Minus movesets, and we just make up brand new Brawl Minus movesets for the new Legacy XP character. and it went nowhere. It was like, I think it was a project for like less than 2 months.
Project Ultra Mix is the genuine answer to your query. If your query included making Baldi, Marth. Brawl Minus was already my favorite mod in terms of shenanigans, but the shenanigan factor is turned up to 11 with Ultra Mix. With an expansive cast, Ultra Mix aims to supercharge the P+ experience by giving it bullshit. I can tell just by looking at the trailer, he doesn't need all that. Falco is Mordecai. I guess they couldn't figure out something funny to do with Rob, though. Fair enough. I couldn't think of anything either. Best I could come up with is GameCube. Oh, they already did that. I am surprised there hasn't already been an attempt to bring the Brawl Minus format to P+, although it sounds like Zeus eventually switched over to P+ EX. This is a bit more explicitly memified than something like Minus, which aims to mainly set the tone of unserious, while not veering too far into Le Pepe 6-7, Among Us B, Markiplier Farquaad.
The Epic of Gilgamesh has concluded. You are now
Project Horizon. Did you want to play as Scott Pilgrim or Neptunia from that game where all of the women are game consoles? I don't know why you would, but this bright lime green Project Horizon, has got you covered. What's different? What's new? Let me take you in and show you through. Songs to play and hear for you. They even have Hatsune Miku. They also had a J. Cole music too. I like the aesthetic of this one. It's just another cute personal build that someone has been working on for years now. But man, it's green brawl with Among Us. What do you want from me? Project Meta Plus EX. In the description of the mod of Meta Plus EX, it kindly details the additions that they find pertinent. And that's right. In Project Meta Plus EX, they They have Sword Art Online, Friday Night Funkin', and NBA Jam music all in one place. They even pulled a multiverses and added their own OC as a playable character, and his name is Clutch, which is funnier than anything I could have come up with as a joke. It's a bit of a quirky personal build that mashes a bunch of prior content into one cool sounding, not cohesive mod pack, though I'm not sure it needs to be. The point of modding is to fan fiction everything, so fuck it. My boy Clutch is in there with Sora and others. Legacy MP Plus, that's different from Meta Plus EX. It has all of the run-of-the-mill 1,000 extra songs and stages plus 10 million new skins, but with the added caveat that it's the old P Plus version 2.4.2 balance. Very specific. Oh, they made her gay. Who the fuck is this? Smash Bros. Legends. Okay, let me tell you a story. So there's this dude named King Bob, like the minion, who low-key, if you watch Smash stuff, you've probably seen a video or two of his around when Ultimate came out, because he famously made a fake trailer for Smash Ultimate detailing Toad becoming a playable character and Waluigi at some point, and subsequently tried to convince everyone it was a real leak with like 50% seriousness. I don't think he actually thought anyone would fall for it, but like it helped generate interest in the video. Not in like a real way, but I'm sure people were actually fooled. Wait a minute. Is that really Smash Ultimate? How did we get modding tools for Ultimate this long ago? Hahaha, you fool. The gameplay and the footage is a Brawl mod developed by King Bob called Smash Bros. Legends, whose goal was to make P Plus EX look as close to Smash Ultimate as possible. And frankly, I mean, it looks pretty damn good. So where is it? And why isn't there a clip of me beating Ash here? Well, unfortunately, my snarky viewer, it looks like this was largely used for King Bob's own personal purposes and never got a true release besides this GitHub repository. There was a Twitter on which it seemed like there was genuine interest and effort into continuing the project, but it never made it past its first post asking for help, and King Bob hasn't said a peep. So I'm gonna go ahead and note this under abandoned. Pretty cool idea though. If you are looking for something like that, there is an obscure build of PM called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Wii that completely rehauls the visual design to align with Ultimates. The stock icons, the stages, the character skins, everything. How good is it? I don't know. I never got it to work. It's beats to jack off and legs to throw. Like I could eat a liquor and watch me play this I guess everyone is Japanese and vibrative. If he's here, almost like YTK, but a little bit different.
Is this an actual part of the script?
Yeah, it's all typed out right there. What? Project Maradona. Everything about this game is in Spanish, but by working out my Google Translate muscles, we learned that you don't need PM or P Plus for this to work, since it works on Revolution. Okay, that's neat, but I'm gonna assume this is based off of Project Plus EX because it's mentioned as the most recent release. If I got this wrong, please forgive me for not having a wealth of knowledge on the game that has Peter Griffin and Cho withered Mario and then Scott the Woz sound clip into green screen FNAF jump scare grouse. Gonna have to work that one out later. Should have been more descriptive. I don't remember what I was talking about. Now, believe me when I tell you, and I tell you this with such sincerity, that I would have shown you the rest of this mod featuring Tomato Tom and Tom Hiddleston. But Project Maradona is indicative of a symptom that stretches far beyond the reaches of this little fucking thing. I'm sure there's a repository of it somewhere, but the main media download link is down, which leads me into a subtangent: becoming lost media.
Everyone is obsessed with finding the lost media. Uncovering the lost media. I found it, but it's problematic. But what about preserving it before it even becomes lost media to begin with? I've had to contend with the fact that I'm woefully, extremely, regretfully late to the Brawl Modding shindig.
Probably because I was like 4 to 6 around that time.
Nevertheless, there have been projects since 2009, and don't get me wrong, there are still ones kicking to this day, trust me. But many of the more obscure and even more well-known mods are on the verge of becoming completely lost to the demons that are dead Google Drive links and Mediafire hyperlinks that say that it's not there anymore. I've found a lot of those. The main repository for these builds and mods of Brawl were hosted on the titular Brawl Vault, but while not entirely dead, it's breathing its last few death rattles as it's hosted on the already deteriorating KCMM forums and fails to load 90% of the time. So much history, so much passion fading away to time. It's easy to forget that everyone, the teams sometimes dedicating a decade plus to these projects, are doing it for free, in their spare time, for fun. Even when some creators have, in my opinion, reasonably attempted to have monetary gain from their art, there is not only fierce pushback from the community, Nintendo is famously not the most friendly company to fan projects, much less monetized ones. Similarly, Brawl Vault has no incentive to be up besides the passion of those who work on it, forcing others to take their place and carry the flag until we run out of people willing to keep up. For now, we have sites like Brawl Mart, which partially archive contents of Brawl Vault, and personal repositories online that archive builds like this one I found from the Reddit post telling me that Brawl Vault is pretty much dead. It's a sad thought to think that one day, in the dwindling twilight of Brawl Hardliner's last days, there won't be anyone else to carry the torch anymore. How the fuck am I supposed to play Handyman build now? Remix. Oh, Remix.
Jesus Christ.
Where did you even come from? Well, it's for the chart, shall we? Alm's tournament build and CE were both inspirations for Remix, so the chart converges here. There are also characters only possible due to Project Plus EX, so that's an additional connection. Previously, I was very confused at the naming scheme of this.
Project M, EM, Remix. Wait, that can't be right.
As it was at some point PMEX Remix, and the final update is called Remix DX, but people have extensively explained this to me. I get it now, guys. It was just confusing at first. It's really the ultimate mishmash of stuff. This Sans from the video game. Sans from the video game, we love him, and Ness is lame. Sans from Smash Bros is here. Sub-Zero, it's Air Buddy. But I already talked about this one in the last video. It's fun. It's worth mentioning that while this is just another branch in the tree and not even the final one, it is almost unfathomable to have imagined this in 2009. When we get into these behemoths of mods like Remix and Rex, it begins to pass the event horizon and break out of the Simulacra. This is not Brawl anymore. This is not Brawl anymore. Many mods work on the large body of work serving as the foundation for the additions that mods can provide, but at this point, the additions have far surpassed the scale of the original game. It's almost an afterthought. There are still hints of Brawl still there, and the reverence for the source material's aesthetic is clear, but if the guy who made the ship of Theseus kept removing parts and then adding even cooler, more awesome parts, then I feel like that's kind of a different parable at that point. Like a Pimp My Theseus type ride situation. I would have added a spoiler and a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Pac-Man decal if it were me. But I can't comment on those things anymore since people will assume that I'm into cars. I'm into Smash Bros. Brawl mods, dude. It's worse. That being said, Remix's intro is a trap remix of Brawl intro, so it's clearly the best one. Can't be boiled down to simply the precursor of Rex since it obviously has its own identity. It borrows the colorful, gleeful extravagance of something akin to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It is an explosive celebration of everything. It doesn't mind being a bit over the top and gratuitous, and for that, I love Remix.
You can still wave dash.
Feels like it could have been the final link in the chain. It certainly holds itself that way. But in the time since the DX release, a skeleton crew of the team came together to make something even further beyond, to push Brawl to its very limit. Super Smash Bros. Remix Plus Ultra. Frankly, I should have saved my Plus Ultra Deku line for right now because there was actually a Deku themed mod after all. Just what we were all looking for at the end of the day. If nothing else, I have my sweet, sweet Deku. You can't tell why I'm upset, but it's because they added Darth Vader instead of Bakugo. I don't know why I wrote this. One Piece Media is like if The Office was the show of heroes. Genuinely, who the fuck is that? Smash Rex. Days after I released the Rex video, there was a new large update for Rex, which was vaguely frustrating, but adding Greninja is so goated that I immediately forgot. I'm extremely obsessed with the concept of them not calling it a project anymore, since it would seem whatever project is created is immediately shut down by Nintendo, a quasi-strike on all projects. What's the solution? Just get rid of the word a project, baby. This is Super Smash Rex. The name, I assume, comes somewhere from the tangled conundrum that is Remix and DX and Puss Puss, etc., a spiritual successor to Smash Remix. With some of the same devs, this is the final frontier of Brawl modding right now. This one is everything. It literally has everything. This team is incredible, and they don't really seem to be slowing down anytime soon. But be a bit of a Charlie Chirk, is this really necessary? We're kind of breaching the second event horizon here into the question of when is it actually enough? When Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, the reveal that everyone is here was the main push of the game. It was literally every character from every Smash game, plus bum-ass Incineroar. And in 8 years, yes, 8, the topic of roster and content in Smash Bros. Has largely shifted to not if the roster is getting cold, but by how much. There's virtually no conversation surrounding adding on top of Ultimate, because at a certain point, it becomes gratuitous. Balancing this many characters is a fucking nightmare, and sometimes things slip through the cracks.
I hit that from behind.
Although Rex is in a different corner and a niche mod that's entire point is gratuity, beginning to have diminishing returns. It was somewhat unclear to me what the difference was between Remix and Rex as a casual observer, the similar names notwithstanding. And is that a skill issue by me of being like a little pea-brained casual observer ultimate player from the outside? Maybe, but from like a logistical advertising standpoint, how am I as a player supposed to know the difference between Remix and Rex? They sound similar, they have a similar roster, they have a similar dev team, but I don't even think it's that serious. It's just people fucking modding Brawl. Well, for me, it's that serious. Okay, before I talk about the serious stuff, I'm gonna do a few honorable mentions that I didn't get around to, okay? Rapid fire, lightning round, Hitsu Brawler EX. Just didn't want to talk about it because, I mean, just look at it, dude. Sonic dual build. Turns everyone into Sonic characters. I know what you are. Pokesmash EX, like the Sonic build battle, but for Pokemon. I know what you are. Project Apollo, an offshoot of an offshoot of an offshoot. Apollo is built off of Zeus. Couldn't find much info on it. I'm sure it's crazy though. Project All-Stars, built on top of Rex. Just even more characters. So many characters. And all the other builds that people told me to add and I forgot. Boom, I'm absolved from responsibility for forgetting anything. You can't get mad at me. But I will say this, regardless of where you land in the Brawltic spectrum, I think it would be a universally agreeable thing to say that these people who are making these mods are artists. From the coders to the artists to the animators to the one-off tasks that are required to get these truly difficult to create pieces of work made. There is very obviously a passionate community here, but because of that, there's a community laden with strife. Both of the people I interviewed for this video received harsh backlash from their respective communities, largely from what it sounds like to be financial disagreements. The Kim build was behind a Patreon wall. That caused a big stir because people don't usually do that in Brawl modding. In Melee, any other modding, sure, yeah, Patreon it, pay me money, but Brawl, it's different.
The cultures between, this is what's really interesting, is I've spent probably 6 years, give or take, 5 or 6 years in Brawl modding and 5 or 6 years in Melee modding, and the cultures are very different. In Melee, you have folks that are a lot more open to running Patreons and like.
Yeah. Does Slippy not have a Patreon? I assumed Slippy had a Patreon.
They used to run on Patreon, but since then they've developed their own payment portal, and that's like.
Oh wow, okay.
And everyone kind of understands it.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably uses Stripe as a backend or whatever. I don't know the details, but back to Brawl modding, it's like you're kind of seen as well. You know, you didn't fully make everything in this. You adopted works from other people, and so especially if it's a compilation pack, which I mean is a fair argument. So you're making money off of someone else's work, and I don't know, I have thoughts about that.
And Cobalt allowed donations while keeping the download public, but both were still met with controversy.
Do you make money from Cobalt at all?
No, but there was a time where I had some support from some very nice people, especially ones who like urged me, like, dude, you should have a Patreon. I was like, oh, really? Okay. And, you know, I did for a while, but, you know, some other modders were like, okay, I don't like that you're piggybacking off of our work. And I'm like, well, you didn't spend, you know, 8 hours a day fixing up these hitboxes and rebalancing the character, retooling them, getting animations, and you didn't do that. So I kind of feel like, you know, how dare you, you know, criticize me for wanting to get paid by people who want to pay me for the work I'm doing. That's your. Now, the bigwigs of Brawl modding, they're also kind of like, I don't want this to turn out like Smash 4 and Ultimate modding where everything's paywalled. And it's like, you guys have a passion and love for this game that's very unlike the other communities. I do not think that, because, you know, considering the general majority of you guys do this stuff for free and will never paywall your stuff, this will never, like, the tide will never shift where it's like, now it's 50-50. No, it's going to be like 20-80, and it will probably stay that way because the people who make the best content are usually the ones who are doing it for free and are doing it out of a love for the game. So it's kind of, it's smoke and mirrors. I think that fear is rather unfounded.
Yeah.
A game like Smash 4 and Ultimate, who are much more competitively sound games than Brawl was.
Oh yeah.
The need to mod, the need to like have more. Like I touched on that in the text. It's like, you know, we needed to add some kind of hype moments and aura into this game. We needed to do something. You don't really have. You don't got to do that quite as badly in Ultimate and Smash. Yeah, okay, Smash 4 was a soulless game, but not just because of the game.
True, someone was brave enough to say it.
With that said, it's like you have like one hand, like you have people who are like afraid of Nintendo, and then you have people who are just afraid of it like poisoning the modding scene. And it's like, oh, modding should only be for, it's a hobby. You should nobody should ever get paid. And I'm like, I've got like a Pixar level animator in here. Don't you dare tell me that this motherfucker can't make 20 an hour for what he does. Because if it wasn't for Happy, none of y'all would have like half of the crazy shit y'all got nowadays. nowadays. He's
Yeah.
handling all the backboards. He worked on he worked a little bit on Dark Samus. He worked on Zero. He worked on Sceptile. Like half of the dreams that y'all have coming true right now are because of him. Don't you dare tell me I can't pay my animator. No way.
I think I've seen a couple of people be like, we have a Patreon, but it's still free. And it's even more confounding. That's so bizarre. Like, it's, why would you not want, at that point, it's just like, I want it for free, and I don't want you to get paid. Because you can still have it for free and have you get paid.
No, man, I'm not like using somebody's work to like, you know, make more money. It's donations that like at a time where I was unemployed. Okay.
Yeah.
I was unemployed at the time, and you're telling me that the hobby that I spent 16 hours a day during 2017 to 2018, you're telling me I can't accept donations?
No way.
I am not one to dictate the rights and wrongs of how a community goes about enforcing or establishing guidelines or taboos like paywalling, and I certainly prefer free downloads to paid ones, but once again, these are people spending sometimes equivalent hours to a full-time job developing a fan mod that they already cannot legally sell for free in their own time. You may want to think about if that de-incentivizes the most talented among you to keep making things. But straight up, don't take my word for it. I'm just a guy who makes YouTube videos every 6 months. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot. I'm frankly, many would describe me as a moron. As we come to a close and the end of the incestuous web of mods that Brawl has created over the years, it brings up a point that has come up as a question I often find myself thinking as I continue down this deep, deep rabbit hole. Why Brawl? Why, of all the games that have been released and have since been released, why does Brawl keep kicking? And why does the relationship chart for it look like this? This, my little chuppy viewer, this is unique to Brawl. I have my own theories, but when interviewing David V. Kimball for this video, he explained it much better than I could.
I can tell you why. The barrier to entry is very low for Brawl for a number of reasons. One, the Wii sold like hotcakes. Well, actually not compared to Switch, but we can get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So Wii and Brawl are old enough and popular enough, and the hardware is exploitable enough to where you have this kind of can of worms where it was like, you know, anyone could mod it. There's tons of mods out there, but also it's not Melee or 64 that are a lot tougher of nuts to crack, and so there's fewer projects just because it's simply harder to get involved. There have been recent breakthroughs, so Melee and 64 are easier to mod, and so they're beginning
with
to do
like
it.
the
But it
decomps
doesn't
and
have
stuff,
the
yeah.
same legacy because it hasn't been cracked as easily as Brawl can, and because Smash 4 had something similar, at least the Wii U version, but no one bought a Wii U, and Ultimate came out and everyone dropped Smash 4, and so Ultimate's the newest one, and so it has the least amount of time to have projects developed for it, and probably the most complex. I mean, we're talking about a modern console with like way more complicated than older games, so
Yeah.
the Wii and Brawl was kind of that sweet spot of like not modern enough to be too complicated to create and not old enough to be too archaic to try to do something with.
My question earlier where it's like, why do you think Brawl is, there are so many projects? I think largely it's probably due to things like this that you've made where there are tools that are just don't exist for the other games that have, just like break the door wide open. I think in the video that I made, it kind of lacked a thesis. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna look at some mods, but I think now that I'm getting more into it, I think the thesis of this video is that modding, like being a modder, is a thankless job.
Yes.
Like a completely thankless job. More often than not, people will just get mad at you.
Yes, I would fully agree with that.
It's not just because it's on a lower powered console that's easy to get your hands on and easy to emulate. It's because there are dozens of people that have made the barrier of entry for making a Brawl mod like nothing. Like nothing. The proprietary tools we have for modding Brawl are so much wider than any of the other games, which is why the web looks like this. And is that beautiful? Yes. Is that confusing? Yes. Does it create drama? Yeah. Perfect situational storm sandwiched a niche community together into which an entire bloodline has been birthed. How neat is that? How did everyone get so good at Brawl modding, you might ask? Well, they didn't. Someone had to build the tools that amateur creators then use, bypassing the barrier of entry for technically complex problems. The efforts of these creators largely go unthanked, and oftentimes end up receiving far less attention than mods that focus on instantly identifiable changes to the mod, like added characters or changed mechanics. But something like CSP or the Smash 3 skin packs, which are almost universally included with all new major mod packs, go as unsung quality of life saints that sit unthanked in the background while everyone reaps the benefits, probably assuming that Smash could just like do that already. It's just extra skins, dude. How hard could it be? So much harder than you could possibly imagine.
There's something called CSP that connects to Legacy TE. That stands for Cosmetic Standardization Project. That's something I made because one of the pain points for people making their own Project M build is if they added a costume to the build, maybe it came with a portrait, maybe it didn't. And if it did, it almost never matched the other portraits. So when you're like cycling through the costumes, like there'd be one that would just look super ugly.
Yeah,
super out of place. And so I thought, well, these are just 3D models, and a lot of these are just texture swaps. So why not create a system where people can easily render their own cosmetics and put them easily into the game? And that way, you know, if someone wants to make a custom costume, they can render the person in the exact same pose as everyone else and get the same exact resolution. And why not package in HD assets along with that? So you'll have a native resolution for Wii and for console, and then you'll have an HD version for emulation. And so you talk about things that are bundled in. Well, cosmetic standardization projects in everything.
Literally everything? Oh my goodness, wow.
Pretty much, yeah. And when I was starting it, I made poses. I was like, whatever, these are kind of throwaway poses. So most of the poses you see are things that I pose myself.
Oh, really? Like in Blender?
Yes. Well, what I did was originally how it worked was you posed in Brawl Box at first.
Oh, that's so tedious.
Then you exported the model to Blender and you polished it. Well, that turned out to not be the best way to do it. So Triptech, who's since taken up Cosmetic Standardization Project for version 3, which I don't think is finished yet still, but he's done the right thing, which is, you know, export the entire skeleton and the mesh and the model or whatever, and then pose it in Blender and then, you know, polish it there, so that in the future you could theoretically create other poses in Blender without having to repolish the model every time.
Oh, I see.
Let's just mod it. Just mod it in. Just hack it.
We'll hack the skins in.
Hack the skins in.
Oh, sure. Hacking.
This has been a ridiculously long endeavor, but I appreciate the response on the first video, and I hope this counts as due diligence to all the people that were upset that maybe their build wasn't shown, maybe I was spreading misinformation, or hopefully this is better. I'll move on to something else now. I'm sorry, I've been talking about this for way too fucking long, dude. Way too long. Ain't.com out, baby.
Full versions of these interviews will be available on my Patreon. Edited still, of course, so they're not boring, but the full thing is nonetheless the stuff that you won't be able to see in this main video, so check it out.
I do have a Patreon now. I have a Patreon. It's where I host all the videos, and I'll maybe post them there earlier. I'll do like very, very fucking cheap rewards tiers, but if you just want to know what's going on, there'll be like public information there too. And frankly, there was a couple of people who told me that they were gonna do a Patreon subscription, but I didn't have one, so. Oh, Aiden.com. That's the end of the video, guys. The Tomodachi Life song is probably playing right now. I dilly-dallied for so long that my phone turned off. Sorry. Okay, I do have a couple of shout-outs. Number 1, Davey Kimball. Thank you for doing an interview on a whim and watching the video and still doing an interview with me after I made the Israel joke. That was sick of you. Thank you to Cizion. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name. It's a cool username, but I don't know how it's pronounced. I'll ask you when I do the interview. Thank you for an interview I haven't done yet, so. Oh, the spicy potato. This one's big. I just typed in the Discord, the Community Edition Discord. The very dead Community Edition Discord. I'm like, can anyone specifically get me footage of Dr. Mario's, like, forward air and Young Link's forward tilt? Because I needed the differences that they changed specific. And a dude, within, like, 15 minutes, got me 60 FPS, 1080p footage exactly of that. His name is The Spicy Potato. GOAT status. Oh yeah, Alm5252. Sorry, I made fun of your name in the first video, and also got all the info about it wrong in the first video too. Your addition is cool. Lael, the guy who worked on a lot of 3C, the character packs. I'm sorry that I had to reschedule the interview like 18 different times. That's my bad. I'm sorry, dude. Usually that's only people in post-production know that, but I'll let the audience know that I dropped the ball on that. Pinclock, developer of Brawl Minus since like 2024. Please keep updating that game. Also, you had a lot of really amazing insights and put up with very stupid questions. I appreciate it. And to the 5 people who largely helped me in the Discord, the Brawl Modding Discord, like over the course of a month, they were very patient. Sometimes they were impatient, but they were very patient with my creating of this, and were very nice. It was Burrito Mation, Mario Docs, FW Crash, Squidgy, who was I think the original person that commented and sent my thing to the Discord that was like, more Brawl Modding misinfo, which was fair. And Xerneas, like the Pokemon, but I think it's spelled differently. Those were the people that majorly helped me with the info and the missing links and explanations and stuff. Could not have done it without them. Also, thank you to Ash for making this this video not sound like dog shit like all of my other ones. Without Ash, this video would have taken 18,000 times longer also.
Really?
Yeah.
I just hope you record audio.
You have no idea how long that process takes usually. I have a shitty mic, and also the house that I'm in is loud 85% of the time. There would not have been a situation where I would have been able to record uninterrupted for more than an hour.
Oh, so yeah, I did clutch out.
Yeah, you did clutch out. Also, you're just letting me use a nice microphone too, instead of my shitty Yeti one. Mine is a Yeti microphone from 2016.
This is like maybe 30% better. It's not like that big of a difference.
Yeah, but you also did the audio leveling and the actual VO. I don't know how she did it. She was like, keep making silly noises, and I was like, Markiplier hand job, and then she was like, moved a bunch of stuff around, and then it sounded really awesome. Oh, also thank you for being in 95% of the clips of the footage.
Nobody's talking about the game. I will get mad. I know I am.
Remember the video we made on Cybergoons and someone immediately commented, she's like, someone needs to tell her to stop countering. It was true!